Coronation Street's Jodie Ramsey takes Daniel Osborne for a fool next week, when she pretends it's her birthday. But after Shona Platt walks in on the celebrations, will Jodie's lie come back to bite her? While chatting with Daniel, Jodie falsely claims that it's a special day for her. Taken aback, Daniel offers to treat Jodie to a spot of lunch at the bistro, which the waitress gladly accepts. But soon after the pair arrive at the restaurant, Shona rocks up and reveals that her sister's birthday is actually in December. Shona couldn't have shown her face at a more awkward time, reveals our Weatherfield insider. She walks in just as Nick is presenting Jodie with a cake and the whole place is singing happy birthday to her. Of course, Shona isn't afraid to speak her mind, so she reveals to everyone that it isn't actually Jodie's birthday. Goodness knows how Daniel will take it. The week begins with Daniel admitting to Jodie that he doesn't feel ready to face the outside world yet, given everything that happened between him and Megan. In response, Jodie claims that she recently ran into Cassie, and from that meeting, she knows that little Birdie is really missing him. Feeling encouraged, Daniel turns up to collect Birdie from number 1, but it's clear that the toddler is having a whale of a time without him. Having arrived back home, Daniel takes aim at Jodie for selling him a lie about his son. Jodie insists to Daniel that she fibbed for his own good, explains our source. In some senses, Jodie is right to say that, as it did convince Daniel to leave the flat. But considering how raw Megan's deceit still is, it would be understandable for Daniel to feel sensitive about lies right now. We'll have to see whether he's prepared to give her the benefit of the doubt. Later in the week, Nina draws Daniel and Jodie's attention to nasty online posts claiming that not only did Daniel know about Megan's grooming of Will, but he was once guilty of grooming Summer. As the online abuse rages on, Daniel confides in Jodie that his troll, who goes by the name Truth Teller, must be someone close to him. This revelation triggers Jodie to point the finger at David, who is sitting across from them at the bistro. Has Jodie hit the nail on the head, or is she just hoping to stir up even more trouble for David and the Platts? The walls were beginning to close in on Jodie, though she still carried herself with the same smug confidence that had fooled almost everyone on Coronation Street for weeks. Almost everyone. Inside Roy's rolls, the lunchtime rush had slowed. Shona Platt wiped down the counter while glancing suspiciously toward the cafe door. Across the street, Jodie lingered outside the salon, pretending to scroll through her phone while clearly keeping an eye on the Platt's house. Shona narrowed her eyes. She's doing it again, she muttered. Roy looked up from polishing cups. Doing what? Hovering. Sneaking about. Acting like she's MI5. Shona leaned closer. I'm telling you, Roy, there's something seriously off about that woman. Roy gave his usual thoughtful nod. You've said that several times now. And I'll keep saying it until someone listens. The truth was, nobody had taken Shona seriously at first. Jodie had arrived in Weatherfield charming everyone with ease. Friendly, helpful, funny, she'd slipped into people's lives almost overnight. She'd offered to help at community events, babysat for exhausted parents, and even convinced Rita to stock handmade candles she claimed to make herself. But Shona had spotted cracks early on. Little things. Jodie always seemed to know information she shouldn't. She appeared at exactly the right moment whenever drama unfolded. And worst of all, she had a habit of twisting conversations when she thought nobody noticed. Shona noticed. And now she was determined to prove it. Later that afternoon, Shona marched into the Rover's return where Jenny was setting up for the evening crowd. You still letting Jodie help with the charity auction? Shona asked. Jenny sighed. Please don't start. I'm serious. She's dodgy. Based on what? Instinct. Jenny laughed softly. That's not evidence, Shona. No, but this is. Shona slapped a folded piece of paper onto the bar. Jenny frowned as she opened it. What's this? Printout from the community center bookings. Jodie told everyone she was volunteering there every Tuesday night. Yeah. She wasn't. Jenny looked confused. Maybe she forgot. 3 weeks in a row. Before Jenny could answer, the pub door swung open and Jodie herself walked in wearing a bright smile. Well, this looks cheerful, she said lightly. Shona folded her arms instantly. Funny, because you don't. Jodie's smile tightened. Problem? Depends. You want the long version or the short one? Jenny stepped between them quickly. All right, enough. But Shona wasn't backing down now. You've been lying to everyone since you got here. Jodie laughed awkwardly. Okay, wow. No, seriously. Where were you actually going on Tuesday nights? A flicker of panic crossed Jodie's face so quickly most people would have missed it. But Shona didn't. There it is, she said quietly. That look. I don't know what you're talking about. You do. The tension in the pub thickened as several locals turned to watch. Jodie forced a smile again. I think maybe you've got too much time on your hands. And I think you're hiding something. Without another word, Jodie spun around and left the pub. But instead of feeling victorious, Shona suddenly felt uneasy. Because guilty people ran. And desperate people did dangerous things. That evening, David found Shona pacing the living room. You all right? He asked. She's rattled. Who? Jodie. David groaned softly. You're still on this. I'm telling you, David, she cracked today. Shona explained everything that happened in the Rovers, but David still looked unconvinced. Maybe she just doesn't like being accused in public. Or maybe she knows I'm right. Before David could reply, there was a knock at the door. Shona opened it cautiously. And froze. Jodie stood there holding an envelope. I think we should talk, she said quietly. Minutes later, the atmosphere inside the Platt house was painfully tense. David watched carefully as Jodie sat opposite Shona at the table. You've made your point, Jodie admitted. You know something's off. Shona folded her arms. Try me. Jodie hesitated before sliding the envelope across the table. Inside were photographs. Dozens of them. David's face drained of color first. Where did you get these? The pictures showed Nick meeting a mystery woman late at night near Victoria Gardens. Shona looked confused. What's this supposed to mean? Jodie leaned back slowly. I wasn't lying for fun. I came to Weatherfield looking into someone. Nick? David asked sharply. Jodie nodded. He's been involved in something much bigger than any of you realize. David shook his head immediately. No chance. You sure about that? Jodie replied. Because I've spent months tracking him. Shona stared at her. Who even are you? For the first time since arriving on the street, Jodie dropped the fake cheerful act completely. My real name isn't Jodie. Silence filled the room. David looked horrified. Shona looked furious. You've got 5 seconds before I throw you out. But before Jodie could answer, another knock hit the door, louder this time. David opened it. Nick stood outside. And one look at the photographs scattered across the table told him everything. His expression darkened instantly. What have you done? He hissed at Jodie. Shona's eyes widened. Not denial. Not confusion. Fear. Real fear. Suddenly, the strange behavior, the lies, the secret meetings, all of it felt far more serious than gossip and suspicion. Nick stepped inside slowly without taking his eyes off Jodie. You shouldn't have come here, he said coldly. David looked between them. Someone better start explaining right now. But Jodie stood abruptly. It's too late for that. Then she turned toward the window. Outside, a dark car had pulled onto the street. And whoever was inside appeared to be watching the house. Jodie's voice trembled for the first time. They found me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.